is.
Suckers just don't come.
So I can do this one, right?
Yeah, so.
But thank you.
I don't know where Sean is, because he just sent me, he's gonna be on, so. Well, we'll have to do other things if Mike Window doesn't get here on time. Do you want to send him a text, John?
Mike?
Yeah. Oh, I do then, I can call. Okay. Oh, there he is. We won't text you. We weren't worried. Okay. I'm calling the meeting to order. We have a roll call. I think we have a quorum. Ingrid had told me she couldn't come. And I think that's the only person except for Sean, who's not online, who told me he was going to be online. So everyone else is here. Thank you. Proof of notification, Adam. There is a 12D that was sent out on Friday. Mike, did you get that with the proper procedure to remove items? It was an email from Carrie Keller, and so we added it to the agenda. Well, I suppose we can. I think you can do that on campus update. We can cover it. We're pretty well covered. Okay. Have everyone read the minutes from April 10th? Any questions? Do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll make a motion.
Mark Cooey moves. Do I have a second? Barb, voice seconds. All in favor signify by saying aye.
All right.
Opposed? Okay. Motion approved. Oh, I didn't do approve the agenda. Do we have approval for the agenda with 12 items with not 12D, I guess, on there? And Chad moves. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Mark Cooey seconds. All in favor?
All right.
Signify. Okay. Opposed? Okay. Motion approved. We have a consent agenda. Any questions on the monthly expenses? They're on the iPad. Stephanie's probably coming later because of the closed session. Anyone have any special? There weren't from you, Mike, so. He said whoops. Okay, do I have a motion to approve the paying of the invoices for the 3 departments? Barb voice moves. Chad Kuasko seconds. All in favor signify by saying aye.
All right.
Okay. Motion carried. Okay. We are going to go into closed session, and it will be, I guess Mike and Greg will need to leave, and everybody else will have to go offline except for Sean, who is on now. Motion on this, but we are going to have a meeting of the Education Committee on Friday, May 12th at 11 a.m. in this building to go over the proposed agreement. Okay? Okay, thank you, everyone. All right, was there anybody, did we lose everybody in the hallway? Yeah, we're done.
I get it.
Does anybody need a break? Okay.
Do you need me for?
I don't think I need you. We're gonna talk a lot about food service, but I don't know if you want to stay for that or not.
I might tune in from home and just have
Okay.
it going in the
Okay.
background in case needed.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, we can't do any action on that, so. Hello, hello. Thank you all. As you know, these are interesting times we live in. All right, Mark has stepped out of the room. Adam, do you have anything to pass out? It's all on here, right? I gotta get to that. Lots of stuff. Okay, extension options, 10A, right? Okay. Thank you, Mike.
So, I don't know how you guys want to move. This is the.
Talk in there, they can't hear you anyway.
So not exactly sure how you want to move forward with this. I have a document in the thing about extension program options. It's a, how would you say, rather lengthy, extensive document. Last meeting, I was asked to, pull together what extension programs exist, what's the functions, why they exist, and examples of some programming. So I looked at the Human Development and Relationships Institute, Health and Wellbeing Institute, and the Community Development Institute. Those the options. Those are the institutes that you currently either have vacant or don't have in the county at the moment. So basically what this is though is a list of each of those institutes and programs. So the programs are where you would hire a co-funded educator out of. And I put in the statewide program plan of work because it kind of sets up that what is the research behind it? Why do we have this program? What are the major programs that happen within or educational activities that happen within each program? And it kind of gives examples of that work. So that's kind of how I put this together. You can see it's quite long. But maybe just to get the quick overview is why I put that first PowerPoint presentation. It's the same one that we presented in May. It gives highlights of what each of those programs are. So starting on page, let's see here.
There's 158 pages, right?
Yeah, I know. Should I just share, can I share my screen?
Are you on the map?
All right. So you guys can see where I'm at.
Sure.
So the first one is again, this PowerPoint is just a kind of a quick overview of each of those particular institutes and programs. So Human Development and Relationships Institute. This is basically where they look at topics related to parenting, family relationships, child development, aging, housing, financial security, provide powerful training and tools to strengthen family bonds and enhance financial competence within our community. This is the work that Chelsea primarily worked out of. So it was the family engagement and relationships, financial education, and lifespan are the three programs that come out of this institute. Chelsea's main programming focus was in the financial education with secondary and family engagements and relationships. The next one is the Health and Wellbeing Institute. So there's two sections to our Health and Wellbeing Institute. We have the FoodWise program, which is a branded program. We currently have FoodWise educators here. Sheena and Christine were in a couple of months ago, gave a report on.
We don't need to go over that one because that's not one of the options, is it?
Right, but behavioral health, active eating, healthy eating, active living is an option for you guys.
Oh, got it.
So that's where I just wanted to say, you see the FoodWise on here. We currently have that program. That one is not a co-funded program. That is a grant-funded program. So those educators don't cost the county any money to have here. Also within the health and wellbeing program, we have behavioral health and healthy eating and active living, which could be options for the county. And those really focus in on well-being, obviously, like it says, healthy eating, active lifestyles, some of those types of options. The next one is the Community Development Institute, I think is one of the areas you guys were looking at. Here you can see these programs are building leadership capacity, strategic planning, government official training, economic development, community food systems, so civic engagement, social responsibility, change, etc. And these are the main development programs. We talked about organizational leadership, economic development, broadband, community food systems. So these are the kind of the topics that they are working on. My guess is based on what I've heard from you guys, you're really looking at community economic development would probably be the educator and the role from that particular institute that we would want here in this county. Am I correct in that? My
Pardon?
guess is you're not gonna look at an educator that's focusing on community food systems. Maybe organizational leadership would be the other one. So, so those are kind of the highlights. Sean did ask a little bit about the Natural Resources Institute. These are not co-funded positions at the moment, but these are statewide positions that work with our natural resources, mineral, forestry resources, water resources. And these are kind of the programs. that
When you
they
say
work
not co-funded, we pay the full amount or the state pays the full?
So co-funded programs are programs where we have a county-based or geography-based educator where the county pays some money and the state pays some money for that individual. The natural resources program, those are all state-funded positions. They serve a much bigger territory than one or two counties there.
So they
They're
wouldn't be
regional.
housed here.
Right, they might be housed here, but they wouldn't be part of the extension budget per se for the county purposes.
So we might already have one of them.
Yeah. And generally, there are some regional water quality specialists that we engage with. And those positions have there's quite a few of them just hired here in the recent future, or the recent past, and a couple more in the future to be hired. So there's a couple on the ag side for water quality, and there's some on the natural resources side for natural resources.
And some counties believe that by having them located in the county at least part of the time, it's an advantage to the county. It gives more access to that employee.
Yep.
Mhm.
So that's just the quick overview. With that, the other thing that I have included in here. So we go back to the top of this document, when you're looking at it yourself, if you click on any one of these, it'll take you directly to that topic. So when you're flipping through here, the table of contents, the one thing that we wanted to talk about was you had asked about the relationship between UW-Madison Extension Community Development Educator and the role of an Economic Development Coordinator, so that there wasn't that confusion between what those two roles are and that there was no duplication there. So as you can see here, the relationship between the CD educator and the Economic Development Coordinator. So on the one side here, we have the Economic Development Director Coordinator. This is a person that really focuses on matters related to economic development. They facilitate economic growth within the community. They focus on the network and deal making. Maintains relationships with businesses, information resources to help individuals succeed. Administers business attraction, do the marketing, the county leadership that way. Utilize their assets to market county businesses, prefer to locate. They're trying to get people here, right? That's their job. They're the ones that are actually saying, hey, Richland County's open for business, come here. That's their job, right? You flip over to the other side, we're a much broader focus when we talk about the educator role. We're really talking about how do we develop those support systems within that for businesses that are here or starting. We're very much teaching, research, and facilitation to help residents, local governments understand economic growth and development. We help support the EDC. We might help with, doing some market analysis, providing some research data for them to help support them in their role. We help with best practices in marketing. We do work really closely together with those organizations. And really, we're focused on building new partnerships, business planning. So it's really that support community development to drive up the ability for the community developed businesses and their economic growth. But really, the ED is the person who's saying, hey, Richland County's open for business. I got a building space for you. I've got this. Let's work with the council here. Maybe we get a tax credit here. So that's extension is very much education and building capacity. The community development coordinator is very much the, hey, I got a spot for you, and this is going to be my role. So those are kind of the two things I think that came through you guys pretty loud and clear at the last meeting. Again, there's lots and lots and lots of stuff here for you guys to read. The last thing I may want to just highlight a little bit here is there's the human development transfer of knowledge, and sorry for jumping around so much on you guys, but trying to do this also in a quick, efficient manner. This was presented to you guys at the last meeting, I think, so this is kind of the document that Chelsea would left for the next person to get started. So as you look through here, right, Richland County has a really strong history of this position, starting with Peggy Olive and probably Carol Roth, I think, before Peggy Olive. And Chelsea's done a fantastic job. Really, these educators are really focusing on how do we take people that are currently in an economic status where they're having troubles getting through financially individually and moving them forward. And the reality of it is Richland County just has a lot of folks that are in that status that need that move forward. And so we've got lots of financial educations, planning ahead, Rent Smart, Money Smart that we work with. So these are some contacts for that next person to get a hold of. How do we do those? What do we kind of do? We provide some newsletters, we provide education. Get Real, we all are aware of what Get Real is. It's a big program, happens once a year with the school districts, but it's not even close to everything that we're doing financially here in Richland County. Big part of the homeless prevention coalition. We talk about the family side of things. She was part of the Richland County Family Advocacy Council, worked with monthly meetings there, provided education and coalition support. You know, they helped start with the 501c3, so there's some extra funding that's coming into the county through them. Raising a Thinking Child, this is really works with parents on how to develop their child, how to learn, strategies for parenting, right? As we provide those tools and values, the thought processes, education we provided earlier, help save us money on the back end later, so those children are well managed and productive citizens. Works with parent cafes, raising and caring kids and parent connection, and food preservation were just some of the things that were there. And the last one was the Juntos program. She did a talk, I believe, just before she left about how that went through. That was knowing that there's a rising need of Hispanics in the community. They were having issues at the school level, figuring out how to support their kids going from middle school to high school and high school to college or post-secondary education. Working with the 4-H educator, they have developed a 2-year program now, looking at doing more of that as well, and possibly looking at getting some funding for an outside educator to work with that program. Again, Work Wheels financial education program. She helped people get into cars so they could get to work. So there's lots of stuff there. I'm not going to read any more through there. And then again, just reiterating the number of educational contacts that this particular program hit in the past year was 2,241 people that Chelsea had contacts with out of this role. So with that, I'm just going to leave it open. Like I said, there's lots and lots of things for you guys to look over, read. I do know that there are some opportunities, what you guys are thinking. I do know I have the approval to move forward with the HDR position from the state side as we were. I can get that rolling. We can get somebody in that educator role as long as the hiring process moves along forward smoothly. If you want to go a different direction, there just might be a much larger gap, and we would have to account for that as we move forward.
So, anyone have any questions? I know there was some question about whether the current one was redundant with other practices. And I also know that some people felt that the economic development would be a better fit for our needs in our community. So any comments from the committee?
That question has always been brought up to me, is how much are we overlapping with HHS? And in all honesty, I don't know how much it overlaps because I'm not a part of that board. But looking at this, I would say it probably, their focus is more protection, or, you know, where this is more education and bringing you to help yourself get out of where you're at, where it's not the same.
No.
There was always fear that there was overlap, but I mean, when I look at it, I don't see it, but that there could be, but it's probably not as you couldn't just take someone from HHS and come in and they're gonna take over all this work.
Do we work closely together? Yes. Is there duplication? No. We supplement each other very well. We're, you know, I mean, it's a both and situation.
Anybody else have comments?
I do.
Yes, Barb.
So is the question what type of person you should, or what job you should be getting? The Chelsea's old job or economic development, right?
That's kind of
And
been the,
does, in my opinion, everybody's working on economic development right now. There's committees and committees. But Chelsea's job got people right in the beginning, got them, made it real, and helped them where they could actually see where there's help. And that, to me, is worth so much when you could save one person. Economic development is great. We all need it. We need it here badly. But each life is important. And I think that Chelsea's job really touched people. She had 7 people only. Doesn't sound like much, who went to a financial aid or some sort of a financial workshop. 3 of those people called me and told me that it made a difference in their life. And that was from one meeting. I don't see how we could give up a job like that for more economic development, looking when everybody else is working on that. My opinion.
Anybody else? Yes,
Yeah.
Sean?
Yeah, so my opinion differs a little bit from Supervisor Voices. So I hear from a lot of folks, including, some folks from up in my district, that they want to see the county grow and that we've passed up too many opportunities in the past that would have given people a better paycheck. And so I mean, that's really cool to hear that story from Barb, actually, through Chelsea. And I'm really glad about that. But I guess what I'd rather see is people just getting paid better so that they don't have to learn how
I gave you the copy.
to pinch pennies or what. Or I know it's more than just pinching pennies. I know it's probably other things. But I was looking through, and first, I should say, too, thank you to Adam for pulling all that together, because I think Supervisor Glassbrenner requested numbers. You did all that. You provided all the information on the program, so it was super helpful, and I read through it before the meeting. And the one that really spoke to me was that community development position or subject area that focused on placemaking. We just have such a beautiful county and downtown and the villages. I'm up here in Yuba right now, and I just think we have so many cool places here, and we just don't always take advantage of them as much as we could. So I really like that placemaking position about kind of developing the downtowns into something more appealing. I hear a lot of, downtown used to be great in Richland Center. It's not anymore. I hear the same thing up here in this little village. I'm sure the other ones are like that too. And I wish we could have a position that was really focused on greater community economic development in that sort of a way. So if it was my vote at this point, maybe try to figure out how to get real in the financial planning thing. But the other stuff, I think it'd be better to replace it with something that's going to bring more money in people's pockets long term.
So what does the board want to do? Do we want to wait another month and discuss this, or what's the consensus here? Well, I guess there's no consensus. Go ahead, John.
If I could just add to it, I know that the city of Richland Center just withdrew from the current economic development arrangement that you had. I think it's critical for the future of the county that there is a concerted effort to increase economic development. That's a much broader discussion, I think, that we need to have at the county level and get buy-in from the cities and the villages and the towns, and also from the business community. So I really see that more as a county board function as a whole and how we get there. And it's one of the things that I'm hoping I can work on while I'm here.
So are you saying that maybe we should pursue having an educator here for that? I'm not quite sure I understand.
I think I think as Adam mentioned before, it's a different function between economic development and what extension has to offer.
Yeah,
So I see it more as the broader county taking a look at how we're going to promote economic development in the future. Because it's not always just when we talk about budgets, it's not just about what expenses there are, it's about increasing the revenues. And that's why we need that economic development. But that is, again, a very broad conversation that needs to be had by the county, by the municipalities within the county, and the business community.
I'd like to know how Adam feels about it.
I want both of them, right? But I realize that the county budget probably isn't gonna allow us to have 2 educators. I just, my preference has been at this point to move forward with the HDR position for a couple of reasons, right? We have established programs here. So it's easy to have that next person coming in with something to run with. Second thing is we do have the approval from the state on moving that position forward. The other part, if you wanted to switch to pool those resources into an economic development educator and stress on the educator part, that might take a longer time to get that resource within this community and moving forward. So I'd love to have them both. But as you look at practicality and timeframes of when we could actually get an educator here, the HDR move would be a whole lot easier and we'd be able to move that process faster.
okay, I have a problem. I'm gonna lose quorum at 3 o'clock. Because we need 5, right? And we're gonna have 4. I think that I am going to make the suggestion that we do this again in June and that everybody read through this unless anyone disagrees with me. Okay, we'll move on to that. So there's some really important things on this agenda, and I know we always have people who have 3 o'clock, things they have to do. I would like a brief explanation of what you explained to me about the office contract with extension.
So share with you again. So as we were going through,
Go through your microphone.
okay, so you guys should have in your packet also a document that has space needs for UW Division of Extension. So basically what I've done here in this graph is outlined what we currently have for extension space in East Hall. So the 9 and 11, that's 9 by 11 meeting space. The type of office it is.
Well, can you get, what's the problem here?
So I'm getting there.
Yeah, okay, well,
I know.
I got other people I have to do today too.
So the
Sorry.
next space is the requirements. What I have in here, this is from a document that the UW Division of Extension has, Office Space Planning and Assignment Guide. This is this is the office space sizes for off-campus, non-university owned facilities. And one of the agreements within that contract is that you will provide the space required for extension. So basically, working with Trish, and she's been fantastic to work with. I just want to reiterate this. She's been very helpful. This is the proposed offices that we have for the temporary move. However, you can see the square footage is significantly less than the 100 square feet that's in the planning assignment guide. And just realizing that that would be a temporary space for HHS. I think as we've discussed in the past, it would be moved there, those offices, and then it would be a remodel of space to fit those guidelines and function for us would be in the future. So
So does everybody understand that? If you moved in now, that they wouldn't follow the contract, they'd have to spend a lot of money to make the offices.
And then as you can see, there's no storage or, I mean, we would share storage space and things like that, but it would definitely be a significant reduction from where we are now to where the temporary move and possibly going, I don't know what the future reduction in space would be if we got to that point.
Any questions about that?
Just the only question I have, and Adam, if you go into Melville Hall, you're pretty much ready to go if we get the IT
Yep.
situation, figured out. Is that correct?
Yeah. Because I think there's going to be a few spaces available over there.
So it's pretty much move-in ready.
Yeah, just have the IT and we follow the contract if we move into Melville Hall, where we don't follow the contract if we move into HHS.
Who ultimately makes this decision? I mean,
It was
Last
very
week I heard that
confusing
it
that
was
they did it
HHS
through
and-
Public Works when really it belongs with us of the decision, but we're trying to work together with all the committees.
Okay.
So I think it
There's
is
a lot
our
of-
decision.
lot of different pieces to this,
Yes,
people making these decisions, and it's,
yes.
Yeah, and I think, and I don't want to take too much time here, but it was moved over to the Public Property Committee because of the June 30th deadline, when everybody thought that was one issue. But for extension to move to Melville Hall also needs the UW system approval to do that. Otherwise, it would just be, if the move was just going over to community services, we could do that on our own.
Well, but they're under our jurisdiction of the Education Committee of where they're supposed to be.
Right.
So it's a give and take.
So actually, the last time we moved from Melville Hall to East Hall, that was the decision of the campus dean.
Yeah.
So they were the ones that were responsible for allocation of space.
Okay, and I know you have a document in here that everybody should look at about the number of meetings you have, and it's extensive. When I was surprised when he showed me all the meetings and how often they need space for that. So I'm gonna move on because I'm gonna lose someone here. And I'm sorry, is that right?
Yep.
Okay, so I'm gonna move to the food service, and Stephanie, as everybody knows, there's been some strange things happening with the food service, that they ended the contract with the food service. And the statement was because they didn't know if the UW system would have a building or not, which we always said we were gonna have a building. And now we do have, it looks like in the agreement, the building. So Stephanie, you want to talk to that? And I have a letter here that I sent to the HHS committee and the Veterans Committee of all the things that Tricia and Clements, who's the director of HHS, and Stephanie have discussed if there was any problems with anything, why they would not have the contract here. And I don't quite understand why they're doing a new RFP when we already have a contract. So Stephanie, you want to discuss that?
Sure. So the bid that we put in April,
A little
There-
louder.
there were two parts to it. One of them was with milk and one of them was without. The bid that we put in was cheaper than our current contract right now. So it was $5.75 and $6. And then the potential person that they chose is higher than ours. They are obviously farther away than we are. And I will say that I am confused why they decided to break the contract in the middle when we have one that's supposed to run until December 31st. And they have been told that, maintenance and utilities and it is staffed, that we would be able to continue to provide that until that time. So I don't know why they've chosen to take that route. It's disheartening, I will say, at the very least. You know, the first time that I learned that this was gonna go this direction was I received an email from Clint. And he had already given them permission to look for other vendors without talking to me. I had no idea. So,
Or this committee.
or the committee, that too. So there have been some surprises along the way that we're all trying to figure out. And we have had several meetings with Trisha and I and Linda and Trisha and I and John to go over some of the concerns that they had had. And we talked through all of them. And we do have some suggestions slash solutions for some of their concerns. And at this point, they have sent out a new proposal as of last Friday around 4 p.m. And that new proposal date is June 5th.
4th, 5th,
5th.
5th.
Yep. And then it states that the new contract will be from July, there's no date written in July, and then to December 31st, 2024.
So it's a 1.5 year contract.
Correct.
Okay. So as the committee here, I'm, and also with the campus has wanted the food service to, the UW system was expecting it to stay there and be part of what all these activities were going to be. We have a wonderful kitchen. We have staff on there. I don't know why the new RFP was sent out and whether that was because the contract, because they sent a letter that they were ending it. Why was a new RFP sent out? Do you know, John?
My understanding is the new RFP went out because the county was under the understanding that June 30th, that the buildings would close, which would include the cafeteria. That's what I've been
But
told.
we already told them that the buildings were never going to close even at that point. They just didn't want to.
So that's all I can speak to.
Yeah.
That's what I've been told, and that decision to go out to bid was made before I was here.
Sure.
I'm not trying to pass the buck.
No, I just thought maybe you knew.
Yeah.
So why they're doing the second RFP is a little mind-boggling to all of us.
Well, I think legally, technically, why they're doing the revised contract is because Stephanie pointed out that the contract or the bids that were open the day prior to what was disclosed in the.
No, I understand there was some illegalities, but when we already have a contract that goes, why, now that they know that the buildings are gonna stay up and everything, why did they send a second RFP?
And I think, and Michael's not here, so we can't ask Mike, but I think it was done because of that the bids were open the day prior to.
Yeah.
I think that's why Mike said we need to redo the bids.
So
I
they
believe
couldn't
that
just
that's
go
why.
with the contract they already had? I don't
We'd
know.
have to ask Mike that.
Okay, okay, I'll ask Mike that. So I think that's something that as a committee, you need to be aware that this is what we're trying to work with the UW system who is wanting this. And we're having conflict within our committee structure. So I have a detailed report of everything that we've addressed here. I hope that you'll read that. Any other questions on that? Sean, anybody, can you hear me?
I can hear you. I don't have any questions.
Okay,
Well, I just want to know how we
In
should be
here,
responding
here.
to. I just want to know how we should be responding to the community. I'm sure most people got the letter from John Poole. And he's not the only one, and they're very upset that this happened, that A, that this happened, B, that it went out of the county, went out of the area. And they just didn't think it was right, and we're gonna have to answer to these people.
well, I have not been answering because I felt it was not, I just said that this is something I'm looking into. I've only written to the education committee, given a copy to you and written to the committee, the HHS and Veterans Committee. What the public wants to do is up to them. There is a meeting this Thursday. I don't see it on the agenda, which I don't understand why it's not
I
on the
thought it was
agenda.
supposed to be on the agenda.
What? It's not on the agenda this Thursday that I saw.
My guess is the reason for that is if the deadline for the new bids, did you say June 5th, Stephanie?
Mhm.
My guess is that they won't have that discussion until after the new bids are opened.
Yeah, I need to talk to Mike because I don't understand why they even had to do the new bid. I understand that they were illegal on the old bids, but since they have a contract, why they felt they had to do a new bid, and I need to find that out. Does that make sense? So maybe on Friday I can have that answer. I know it's not on our agenda and we don't want to have a long agenda on Friday, but I'll try to have that answer. Is that okay with everybody? Okay, anything else?
There's just one thing that I want to add though, and again, I know I've heard a lot from the county since I've been here that there's deferred maintenance. So when Stephanie and I met, we talked a little bit about that, and the county has to make the decision if they're going to continue to provide food service, whether it's for the students and for the public on campus, and if it also includes the nutrition meals, there is some maintenance that needs to be done there. There's a freezer that's inoperable right now. Is it a heated serving cart? What, I know you told me, Stephanie, there was something there.
Yeah, we have a couple heating element issues. There's a movable cart that has one, and then in the front of the house, our steam table, one of those wells, currently the heating element isn't working.
Right. So,
So you have a freezer? You didn't tell me you had a freezer out.
The freezer that he's referring to is one that has not operated since before I came. It's
Oh,
been a long time that it hasn't worked.
for
and-
several years. Okay.
Right.
but I think the one point is if the meals were to increase,
Yep.
then as Stephanie pointed out to me, the delivery of the meals are done once a week. So she has to have enough storage there for those meals for a week at a time. So
Okay.
that's not a decision that needs
I
to be done.
understand that.
Yep.
That's a good point. And some of the maintenance was done by the maintenance staff here and fixed in the kitchen, so we're okay with that.
Yes.
Okay. Anything else you'd like to add, Stephanie? You've been in the black for the last 3 months.
We have been, very much so. I was able to print my US bank statement this morning when I went to work, and I have that number that was spent if anybody's interested in it, and then what our new total expenditures is. So the US bank card was $1,579.67. And our total expenditure for the month was $16,561.77.
Okay, we did already pass paying the bills, so.
Thank you.
Okay, anything else then? Would you get a cost for that freezer for me?
I can.
Okay, I'm sorry, you're leaving, right, Chad? So we don't have quorum, but can we still have discussion without quorum?
Discussion.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think we need to pass on anything, do we, Mike?
You just want to make sure that you some kind of motion for fee.
I can't hear you. If I cannot hear you, use your mic.
Do we need some kind of motion for the East Hall?
What are you talking about?
So there was a request to have a motion to allow staff into East Hall building does that need to be discussed or not? That would have been item D.
No, that was to move the items out of there.
Right,
We don't need a motion, I don't think, for that.
okay,
Yeah. I thought you meant people.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, thank you, Chad. Okay, thank you, Stephanie. You'll get those for us. Okay. So Mike, is good for everybody else. And can you write minutes of discussion only? Is that proper, John? Okay.
There's a button on the bottom.
I always seem to get the one that seems a little different. What's at the bottom?
This part.
Oh, there it is. All right, thank you. Regarding the freezer, I talked with Jim Bell this morning. He called Precision Control. He said they can't look at it right now, so you may not, I don't know, you may have to find somebody else. It's a different freezer? Okay, thank you. Let me just give a quick summary then of some of the campus activities that have happened. We did our scholarship awards and graduation recognitions event on Friday of last week, and with Greg here, can acknowledge the foundation gave out $95,950 of scholarship awards to 34 different students last Friday, and so those students will be taking those awards with them to some will be attending other campus. $95,950. So some of those students will attend other UW-Platteville campuses, and others will attend other institutions throughout the state or maybe even outside of state. So again, acknowledge and thank the foundation and their donors for providing those funds for students from Richland County and surrounding area. We had 12 individuals that completed their associate degree requirements this semester. So we recognize those students on Friday, and they will have the opportunity to participate in the commencement this Saturday at the Platteville campus. Students also hosted a spring carnival on Saturday. My understanding, there was about 200 community participants at that event. Yes. Our last day of class is this Friday, and then finals begin on Monday with the semester ending on a week from this Friday. So those are most of the updates. Also want to thank Stephanie and Cindy for providing food for the event on last Friday. Okay, getting into the building and grounds report, you should have a copy on your computers. This is a kind of a culmination of what's going on and some of the future things that probably need to be addressed. With building completed projects this year has mostly been, or this last month was mostly focused on the grounds. We were trying to get people to come in and fix the drinking fountains, people to come in and look at and give us bids on other projects. And right now that is a challenge because they've been telling us they have a lot of other business going on, and they're not coming to campus to provide those bids or those estimates. So we're kind of at a stalemate there on those items. So when you look at the two outstanding and current projects there with the science and drinking fountains, right now that's on hold because we can't get them to come in to give us a bid or let us know on what the part cost will be. And with the cafe, the items there that are broken, I think we still are trying to work with local vendors to get some of those things fixed. My understanding was, I think it was last week, there was a group on campus that took a tour with Jim Bell and Brandon Federley to look at some of the items, look at the buildings and so forth. And Linda, that you'd asked Jim to come up with a list of items that would need to be in repair, that are in repair, need of repair at the campus. So the rest of this report is based on that list. There are items on this report that are highlighted. The items that are highlighted up here on the 23, the 27 capital item list that was submitted to the county this spring in February. So those are all the highlighted items there. I would imagine most of the costs associated with that listed in this document are out of date. So I would say look at those costs as being minimums. With the fire alarm system, which we had on the list for 2024, that's really not an estimate. The number that I have on there was from Jesse Herreras in 2019. Since that point in time, the people that we've contacted said they are not going to give us a cost estimate until it looks like it's a serious project. Because they were telling with the amount of wiring that needed to be done and replacing all the fire alarms systems in all the buildings, that it's a very extensive project. I think obviously I'm not an expert in the area, but it would surprise me if $500,000 would even touch it. That's a very extensive project. And we're looking at the same thing in Baraboo, basically, because our alarms over there need to be replaced on that campus as well. And they are looking very expensive at this time, more like 150,000 a building. So it's that's an expensive ticket item there. So what I've done is I've listed future projects here by building, and what are items that have come up or appear on our list as things that need to be taken care of. And I think some of these things were things that were discussed when the walkthrough last week or the week before last, whenever it was. We can see that with the theater, I guess with the theater, the one thing that I did add in here was that that the curtains, that's the right term, the curtains need to be replaced. One was extensively torn last fall when they were building the set or at the end of the production in the fall. Plus they were old enough where their fire retardant value was no longer, they were out of date for that reason as well. So you can see basically the things that are highlighted rely on a lot of HVAC. When you look at the air conditioning systems, to my knowledge, all the air conditioning systems that are on the campus now are very old, plus they use old refrigerant. And really, maybe instead of repairing, the best thing to do is to replace with items that have newer, the state-of-the-art refrigerants being used in them. Did outline the rest of the roof for copper top. I know you've been working, have worked on part of that so far. HVAC and HVAC controls in Melville and the library. And really should be looked at in the science building, although that is not on the capital list through 2027. You know, it's even though that's the newest building, it's still about 20 years old. So that is getting to be old equipment in there as well. The last things I have on here would be in the grounds areas and the parking lots. We've had a lot of feedback on the parking lots this year that really the best thing for those in the drive is to be resurfaced, since several layers are missing in some areas where there are significant potholes. So resurfacing may be the best option there. The tree removal, the sidewalks on campus, that was part of Jesse's list as well. We just felt in the last couple of years that there were more pressing items that should be addressed versus the concrete, but thinking about that. Also, when you look at the master plan that was done in 2013, it also pointed out that building entrance areas needed to be redone. The doors are original equipment. The concrete that leads into those areas and supports those areas are showing their age as well. And when you look at the gymnasium on the west side of the building, the concrete slopes at the west entrance slopes towards the building and not away anymore. So we do, on significant weather events, we do get water that encroaches into the building for that reason. So I guess the items here are here for your review if you've not had a chance to look at them yet. But these are the things that we could think of that would be the main ticket items that should be addressed going forward.
Thank you. Any questions for Mike? I don't think this is a.
I do have one question actually. I talked to Supervisor Williamson about the ash trees. He came out and looked at them. I think he did the same sort of a project for the courthouse under the property committee, and he has a potential price for what it would take to get the ash trees cut. But their disposal is another issue. And so I was wondering if Mike Compton could take, this is kind of a question for you. At UW-Platteville, do they contract out all of their tree care, or do they do some of that in-house?
Some of that's done in-house. I couldn't tell you to what extent when you get above a certain size of tree. Usually on the campus, there's not removal of really large trees. And with the last I know, probably a couple years ago it's been now, that's in the summertime, they came through and have removed a lot of the older ash trees, but I couldn't tell you if those were done in-house or if they were contracted out.
Okay, I'm wondering if you can maybe look into that, or I don't know, Linda, if you think we should contact Carolyn Keller about that, but
Yeah, it's a good point.
I think if the new arrangement ends up being that that Platteville continues to provide maintenance support, my question would be, does the county need to pay for the entire cost of removal of the ash trees, or can we look to our partners to maybe bring some crews up to take care of part of it? So that's kind of where my question is coming from.
Madam Chair,
Yes, Dan.
what was that exact question again? Is that whether or not they outsourced or contracting on some things? or what?
Is the ash trees. We have ash trees that have ash borer that need to be removed. And the question was, does UW Platteville do that in-house, or do they have other people depending on the size of the tree? Is that correct, Mike?
I would think so, because there's not a really, from my remembrance of equipment available on the campus down there. When you get to trees that large, like the ones that are here, there really isn't much to do with those equipment wise.
My son just happens to be the supervisor down there.
No.
And the reason why I can tell you exactly what they do contract out, there is a dollar amount. Number one would be that, and then when there is a dollar amount, then it has to be contracted out. And a source of, depending on the size of the equipment also, because that's an extensive project, and they don't want to tie up their in-house intelligence, I should say, to do these projects when they outsource them. So that's kind of what determines when they do that.
That's mighty nice firewood. I would certainly think you'd be able to get somebody to come in and take that out and remove
Yeah,
that.
I think there's lots of options here.
I had well, this is just for me at my house. I had somebody come in and all I had him do was fell the trees, and he felled 6 trees for me for $3,000. So,
Yeah.
and I just took care of the rest of it myself.
Mm-hmm. Okay, good points. And we can do this on campus update, I think, because Carrie Keller asked the question about the procedure of moving, and we had talked about moving the woodworking equipment to the education, the classroom building. And have you worked now with Marilyn Peckham on moving the computers?
Maryland's working with the IT people for Platteville on taking care of the computer items in the East Hall, yeah.
So there's nothing else we have to worry about, that they'll be out by June 30th or before?
I would think so. I have to be really honest. I'm not really getting communications either way. Whatever you're communicating with me via email is all I get.
I've been communicating.
And I'm not getting anything, but I'm not getting anything from my supervisors on stuff. So my last day is Wednesday. My position's been
I didn't
eliminated.
know that.
Yeah, my position's been eliminated, so my last day is Wednesday. So
I'm
for
just,
the future, you
I've
want to
been
work
with Carrie Keller, because she emailed me and she's not here today because of her mother broke her hip.
Yeah. So I think
I didn't know your last day was Wednesday. I want you to move that swimming pool, that plastic swimming pool, before you leave.
I'm not going to move it. I didn't put it.
I just kidding. No, but I think that's the only thing that really needs to come out of there, because all that wood is okay, right?
I think they've gotten the metal's all
everything out.
gone.
Yeah, but the plastic swimming pool, can you have Jim Bell move that to the dump?
I don't know if he has it yet. I'll ask him when I go back.
Okay.
But yeah.
Well, we'll not see you again after this Wednesday?
No, this is it.
Okay, so, and Carrie is taking your place?
Yes, yeah.
Okay. Good to know.
So why don't you call the tree cutters and
Here,
have them
here,
come
right here.
to Platteville?
Yeah. All right, anything else that you would like to say, Mike?
No, I think I'm good.
Okay. Anybody else have anything? I have correspondence that I gave you. CISA 3, I met with them last Monday night at the campus. They would like to use the science building, the geology lab, and then the room across the way from October through March to have a construction academy. And that would be, if you read this, working with all the different types of construction people in the area to help juniors and seniors from all the area high schools come there and do an academy. And they will do, maybe build a fake wall. They might work on different things. It seems like a really positive thing from CISA 3, and they're really wanting to use our campus to do that. So I gave this to you because I guess I've been asked to find more of the construction people in the area, and I'm asking you to give me names of people, and it can be concrete, it can be from Muscat, it can be all over, all different aspects of it. And I think it's a really positive thing for youth and a positive thing for our campus. So this is one of the many things that is being asked for the buildings at the campus. So that's my correspondence. Okay. I think we have enough things for the June 12th meeting, and we're meeting on May 12th at 11 o'clock. So I guess we will adjourn to May 12th at 11 o'clock. Do I have a motion to do that? I guess we don't need it, right? Okay. I declare the meeting adjourned. See you May 12th at 11 o'clock. Thank you, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.